So our next guest of the podcast, he's a friend of Mates Rates Comedy. He's a really great comedian, and I mean, he's headlined the show multiple times. I'm really excited to see what got, what he's going to tell us about. So can we please welcome to the podcast Benjamin Colbello. Ben, welcome to
Hey,
the
Ben.
show.
Hi, I have one request. Is it possible to record this? Would you let me record it?
Oh, it will be so. Yeah, it will be It's being recorded currently,
Excellent.
and I'll send you all the clips of it, and I can
Okay,
send you a
cool.
raw copy as well. So all of that, all that is sorted.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you said that I'd headlined Mates Rates Comedy. This is going to be really interesting because I am not the one who headlined Mates Rates Comedy. It was President Obonjo.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, it's true. Your creation headline. Yeah. Just so
yes,
you see it as a separate. You see him also as a separate person.
yes, definitely a separate person, definitely a separate individual. And this is going to be really interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Well, look, Ben. How would you define yourself as an artist?
I would define myself as an entertainer.
Right. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
an entertainer who has been forced to go into comedy by the president. Uh, and I literally don't have any choice whatsoever. He demands I write his jokes for him. He doesn't write any jokes. I write his jokes. So you can see how difficult it is at times when I have my own voice and I want to write my own jokes, but I'm writing jokes on behalf of the president.
So you work for President Obonjo.
Definitely, I work for him. I'm his slave.
And you have to like suppress your own ideas to make him fit for President Obonjo.
Yes, yes. And it so happens that there are times when I've really had enough because I've spent 11 years of writing for the president. And okay, he's on stage. He might be on stage performing on Mates, comedy. And I want to come out. I genuinely want to come out. But I always have to, when I say come out, I mean come out as me.
Yeah, you want to.
Yeah. And he doesn't know this because he doesn't know anything about comedy. But there are times I put my jokes in when he's performing. And those who know comedy can see that something is happening. That's where they say, oh, it looks like President Obonjo is breaking out of character. When he breaks out of character, it's me who wants to come out and express myself. Yeah.
Because that's interesting. Because for most of us, stand-up comedy or art is a way of expressing yourself. But you're saying you're not really. You're more facilitating this strange man to go and shout at each other.
Yeah, you're saying you're suppressing yourself.
Yeah, I'm suppressing myself.
To help a dictator.
Yeah, to be the dictator. And it's a fictional world, so you can imagine in terms of writing, it's fictional.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff is all made up in terms of the world, and so it's been in your own little world. He consumes me. He would be happy. Look, I say to you, when you invited me to this interview and said I should talk and I should come and talk, and I just thought, I'm not going to tell the president about this because he would have wanted to.
He wouldn't want you grassing him up.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you ever get
even before the Zoom interview, it was his name that appeared and his face, and I literally had to find a way of getting that out of my mind. Look, it's actually me they want to talk to rather than the president.
Wow. Well, look, Ben. How do you go about writing for this man? I mean, do you? It feels more like a compulsion that you write rather than something you have to sit down and do.
Well, I wish he could actually do his own writing. that would help me because he relies on me a lot. But on a serious note, as you know, he sees himself as a political comedian. So he does a lot of topical jokes. And the writing actually takes place on stage. So I don't sit down with a piece of paper trying to write stuff. It actually has ideas of what he wants to say on stage and I say, Mr. President, okay, talk about democracy today, or talk about dictatorship, and he just goes on stage and he says it. And then when it works, he tells me, write that down. That was a good joke. That was really a good joke, mate, you know? And that's how he develops and builds his material. So
for you, it's so much going on stage in this character,
yeah,
messing around with ideas, just saying what's on the president's mind, and
yeah,
then the writing process is capturing what works well and
yes,
what doesn't work well, and then filtering it through that way.
yes, exactly.
And like how, I mean, if he's not, I mean, I guess, how did this character appear then? If he's like a compulsion, was it just an idea you had, and then it's kind of escalated, or?
Well, it's really interesting because I had to look back to prepare for this interview, and I actually saw a video of 8 years ago where I performed as President Obonjo, but not in uniform, just as a civilian president. So what you don't know is that before I came to England, I lived in Nigeria. And in Nigeria, during that time, we had dictatorial regimes. So my idea of leadership is to actually be a dictator. So I grew up in an environment where military rule was the key thing. It wasn't civilian rule. And that's basically how the idea developed into moving from civilian to becoming a military dictator.
And do you think you will write for Ben as opposed for?
I have, interesting enough, it's people talk. You see, this is what is really interesting about the game of comedy, is that I do write. I have my own material, and I know it sounds really odd. Carl looks really confused.
That's just my face.
That's just how he looks.
He's
just trying to read or something.
Yeah, I do write for myself, and that when I write for what's really interesting is when I write for myself, I go to the process of just writing jokes on a piece of paper, so I don't try them on stage straight away. And yes, I have actually performed as myself, but the thing is, a lot of comedy promoters love the president rather than me, and that makes me feel really jealous of the president, because there are times when I've applied for gigs in the past and I applied.
Oh, and they've asked you to be the president.
And they said, no, we don't want you. We want the president. So can you imagine how that makes me feel? And at one point, I was thinking, I'm going to find a way of killing this guy. You know, just
yeah, you might. Yeah,
kill him off so I can find my own voice. But I've gotten used to it. But I do perform as myself. Quietly, I perform as myself, and I've enjoyed it. So I performed the Top Secret Comedy Club.
I just saw a video of that. It was really good.
You saw the video, and it was so I can do it. It's just
really like a smooth, like pork pie hat on. You dress.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So it can be done.
It's interesting, isn't it? How it is to do with the game of comedy, isn't it? Because the character is already a headline act.
Yeah.
Where you might, I mean, you might be. I guess you might already be headline worthy or opener worthy or whatever, but people don't know. They know the president has took over, so it's like the game of making it versus the kind of the personal sort of expression sides, and they're in conflict, aren't they?
Yeah. And I did a show called President Obonjo Stole My Identity in 2015. So it was 45 minutes of President Obonjo and then 15 minutes of me revealing myself. And I think that's when there was a conflict, because I'd written that. And what actually happened was, the reason I wrote that show was because someone saw me at a comedy club and said, and it was a comedian, and he came to me and he said, look, we can't keep calling you Mr. President. What is your real name? And I said, my name is Benjamin. And then it just dawned on me, wow, people don't even know my real name. People actually think I am President Obonjo. And I said to myself, what am I doing to myself, actually?
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, it's crazy. Why are people calling me President Obonjo?
But then you must get something out of it, because he's people. It must feel good as the president to get all those laughs, and it must be fun.
Yeah, it is. But what what was annoying at the very beginning was people, you know, you will always have critics in comedy, and people genuinely thought that I was hiding, or rather the president was hiding behind the uniform to be funny. It's almost like a musical comedian.
Okay, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
There's a
But-
weird snobbery, isn't there, towards
yeah,
things that aren't
exactly.
just,
I remember very vividly a few years ago when I went on stage, or rather when the president went on stage, and he was a replacement act somewhere in Birmingham, and the comedy promoter knew nothing about the president. As soon as he saw the president, he said, "Oh, this is a clown, a joke, a joke. This is going to be a joke on its own." And he wrote that in the review. But you can imagine what he was thinking, that, oh, this is not going to work. This is just going to be. But within a couple of minutes, people were rolling on the floor, literally rolling on the floor. And he said, wow, that's not what I was expecting. So
I think the depths to the act is what makes it, also what helps you get away with it as well. Because if it was just you doing a kind of a Mickey Mouse thing as a caricature, but there's political commentary and depth to it, which is
yeah, there are
fancy.
moments, isn't there, with President Obonjo that I noticed that you're fully within the character, but there's also a sort of wink sort of thing going on within.
And that's where
that's Ben.
That's Ben. Literally, Ben is the one
fighting.
Ben is the one who has the charisma, because
Ben goes, hello.
Yeah, hello. And that's why, for me, a lot of people. I remember someone saying, "Oh, I don't like dictators, but there's something about you. You're just so cuddly." What they don't realize is that Benjamin is also within that uniform. Do you understand what I'm saying? And he's exactly.
There is also, I also think there is a part of the human psyche that wants us to just follow a dictator blindly. That might just be my own thing, but I feel that you sort of appeal to our secret desire to follow a dictator, like you know, when you do Facebook comments and people are like, "Oh, Mr. President, sir, this is happening over here."
Well, what I've tried, and this is what's really interesting about this, and this is one of many reasons. This is the third interview I've done where people are we're talking about me rather than as a president. And even my Facebook profile, even when I put stuff on there, not as president, people still call me Mr. President. So I don't know whether that means that I have actually stereotyped myself to just doing that character, but that's not my intention. There are times when I just write stuff for the sake of writing as myself, but people will still refer to Mr. President.
It's a testament to the strength of the character, isn't it? That is what that is.
Yeah, exactly. And also there are times when I've actually performed as myself, and the MC, Carl, you've never done this, but I perform as Benjamin, and the MC is actually saying, coming to me before I'm introduced, it's Benjamin today, isn't it? It's not President Obonjo. I said, yes, it is Benjamin. And then I go on stage, before he introduces me, he says, "Oh, I'd like to welcome you, President Obonjo." No, not President Obonjo.
Oh, no. And then they just get this guy in a hat. What's he president of?
So you can see what that does to you psychologically, especially if you've been playing that character for 11 years.
It's strange, difficult for your identity.
Well, not necessarily difficult for my identity, and it hasn't helped, because my real name is Benjamin Bankole Bello. But as you know, the E4 and BBC Studios tried to create a character called Colonel Banjoko. Now Banjoko Bankole. So not only did President
They stole your character and your actual name.
Yeah. The Colonel also stole my real. Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
Incredible. well, Ben, sorry, Carl.
I said there's taking the piss, and then there's
identity theft.
Yeah.
So Ben, do you have any projects coming up, and do you have any projects for yourself? And then does the president have any projects coming up?
Okay, so I have a podcast that is growing. So it's called If Comedians Rule the World, and I thought I was going to do it as myself, but actually the president has taken over. So it's If Comedians Rule the World with President Obonjo. So that's happening. I'm writing a sitcom. I have a show that I've written for the president in terms of the attempted coup called Stolen. It was meant to be at Edinburgh show.
It was meant to be at Mates Rates as well.
I was meant to be at Mate Rates, yeah. So that show,
that's
was
the big important thing, not Edinburgh. It was meant to be on top of this restaurant in Reading. That's what the people are waiting for.
Well, yeah. And I definitely want to showcase that show, because there's a lot to talk about in terms of that experience of a big corporation trying to steal your identity, which I've called attempted coup. I'm writing sketches. The president is on TikTok. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. And it's really picking up. You'd expect TikTok followers to be fans of Justin Timberlake, not of an African dictator, but it is happening. So there are exciting projects, but I genuinely, the pandemic has made me realize that you need to be strategic in your approach to comedy, well, in terms of your writing and where you want to be. And certainly, the 11 years meant I was running around the whole place, gigging, and I enjoyed it. The president enjoyed it. I had no choice, forced me to, go wherever I wanted to. But I'm not going to go around chasing gigs anymore. Those who want to book me, and not because I'm being proud or anything. I just feel that I don't need to prove to anybody that I'm funny. I know I'm funny. And, we'll just see what happens and just enjoy life. Yeah.
Sounds great, Ben.
Got a clear plan to go ahead then, Ben.
Yeah, definitely. Which I didn't have over the years, because you know how comedy is. You want to
get caught on the treadmill of trying to
you get
3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah. 4 times a week. You just want to be
easy to run around like a chicken, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was busy. I was really, really busy before the pandemic. Weekends, Sunday, I'm knackered.
I remember the first time I met you, Ben. I don't know if you remember this, but it was at Hungerford Comedy Club.
Yeah.
And I just thought the Hungerford is, well, it's got to be the whitest middle class village in the UK. I mean, it's up there, right? And the thought of you, it just made me laugh so much, traveling there or back on the train in your outfit, like inspectors. I was like, I wish I could have got the train back that day. I wanted to see what people
look. And this is what's really interesting. Thank you for saying that, because you talk about writing material, traveling on the train. But as soon as I get out of the house and I'm in uniform, the material is being written just by the responses from people.
The absurdity of this situation.
Yeah, exactly. The people believing that, this guy is a real president of a great nation, waving, catching the train, moving from non-first class to first class because the inspector believes that he's served in the army. Thank you for his service. I mean, the stuff about Prince Philip, bless him, who's died recently, and posting on Twitter to say, "Oh, I want his uniform." People, these things just write themselves. So, for the character, it just writes itself. If that makes sense, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I think this has been really interesting. So our audience, our listeners can find you on TikTok and on Facebook.
No, they can't find me. You see,
they can find the president.
They can find the president on TikTok at President Obonjo. They can find President at Real Obonjo on Twitter, Instagram Obonjo, and they can find me on Facebook. Guys, I want you guys to love me. I'm funny too.
So for the real Ben, to find Ben, just add him as a friend on Facebook.
You can add me as a friend. I'm also on Twitter as Bankole Bello, Benjamin B. Bello. And you're going to be hearing from me because I am going to do stand-up comedy. The president is not going to suppress me from not performing. I'm going to perform. I'm going to continue performing as myself. Right.
Well, I look forward to seeing both you and the president in action after lockdown. And thank you so much for joining the podcast. And we'll see you on circuit. We will inevitably have you at the club again sometime. So great to have you on the show.
Thank you. I will. Any message for the president from Mate Rates?
When the shooting starts, remember we were your friend.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you.
See you later, mate.
Thank you,
Cheers,
bye.
Ben.